Comic Addicts, it's Joe with Black Box Silver and Bronze, and I got a stack of comics to show you. Let's get into these. Hey, Comic Addicts, I've got a really great stack of comics for you. I've got some from my comic shop, some from eBay, some from a local shop called Epicos Comics and Games, and there's some really, really good stuff in here. So let's get into it. The first thing is not a comic book, but it's comic related, and I think you might enjoy seeing it. It's Yank Army Weekly, Volume 3, number 27 from 1944. And look at this beautiful Christmas cover. And so this here is Sad Sack. And here's this signature down here, Sergeant George Baker. He's the guy who created Sad Sack, and it was a cartoon, usually wordless, just situational, that ran in this. And so this is like a Life magazine-sized document, publication, I should say. And this was first put out for all the Army men who were in the war, and then after a certain amount of issues, it wasn't just sent to the front, it was sent to everyone, on bases, stateside and everything. But Sergeant George Baker created Sad Sack in this. And so this ran the entirety of the war. And then this is 1944. I think in 1946 is when it ceased. And so there's comics inside about Sad Sack. He only appears on the cover twice that I could see. This is the second appearance, but only in color one time. So this is a very early appearance of Sad Sack. I think that's really cool. What do you think? Very cool. All right. This next stack of comics is a stack of Popeye comics, and it's modern. They're from IDW. And so I think I got about 5 or 6 of them. And I bought these for one particular comic, which I'll show you a lead up to it. But this is Popeye #1. And it says here in the red box, presenting all new Popeye comics, specially written for this book. Down here it says classic comics. So I think some of these are reprints and some of them are new, but they're really cool. And then this is issue number 5 of that series. And they got some great covers. And it says it's by Bud Sagendorf. I don't know if he did the interiors or not. And then this is number 5. And I think these are 2 different series, because they're both number 5s. I think they're 2 different series. And then here's issue number 6. And this one's really cool. This is issue number 8. And here is issue number 11. Great covers. And then this is the one I got it for. This is the retailer incentive issue number 6. And this is a Dan Parent cover. And I've been looking for this one because I like the covers that have the angel and the devil conscience theme on it. So I have a couple of others. I have a Captain Marvel Adventures, maybe, or maybe it's Captain Marvel. I think it's Captain Marvel Adventures, and the Jughead Annual that have it. But that's why I picked it up. It was cheaper, plus it was best offer. So I made an offer on this, and it was cheaper to get all of these than it was to just buy only this comic from other sellers. All right. This is really cool. I got this from a seller on Instagram that I buy from. And this is Archie Meets the Punisher. And it has a picture of Archie and the Punisher logo on the back cover. Up here, you could see it's kind of like Archie's face and the Punisher. Uh, if you haven't seen this, try to get this. The story is really well done. So what happens is the Punisher is in some Marvel place, and he's hunting this gangster down, and the gangster looks like Archie. And so I don't remember his name now, but he wants to hightail it out of town to get away from the Punisher. So he winds up going to Riverdale, and then the Punisher goes to Riverdale. And so it's one of those um, identical looking people confusion kind of stories. And what's really cool is so it takes place in Riverdale, but you see like all these other Marvel things are brought in. If you pay attention, you read it carefully, you look at things. For instance, at this dance, right, which is at the Riverdale High School, you see like the Marvel teenage girls are there, like Patsy and Hetty and Millie. So it's really cool how it kind of brings, and there are other things too. It was a really good read, and I picked this up, and then while I was out on my hunt, I saw another. I haven't seen this. I've been trying to find it. I finally picked it up, and then I see it again in another place. But it's a good read. This is All Picture Comedy Carnival by St. John's, and it's a 100-pager. And so why would I get this? Well, it was really cheap. But in here, what they did was it's a 100-pager. So I think they took like remaindered copies and kind of stitched them together and threw this new cover on it. And so in here is some Matt Baker art with Canteen Kate. And so a lot of people don't know that, but if you're interested in Canteen Kate, you can snag this one. All right, the next stack I got from a local place called Epicos Comics and Games, and I was able to find an issue for my Ghost Manor run. Here's number 8. That nice ghost cover. I love these Charlton Supernatural ones. And then I found an issue of Go-Go, number 8 also. And boy, I thought that was really cool. Has the monkeys down there. Remember the monkeys? Hey, hey, we're the monkeys. And her kind of floating in outer space with the fishbowl helmet. I love those fishbowl helmets, but I love the way this is set up, the color with the red across the top, the black space background with all the planets and stars and Go-Go logo here. I thought it was really cool. So I snagged that one. And then from their dollar bins, I found this Dick Tracy, this is the third of 3. And this might look familiar to you, like Warren Beatty. This is the Dick Tracy from the Disney movie with Warren Beatty and Madonna. And I think issue number 1, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think issue number 1 was the story of the movie. And then issues 2 and 3 just were new stories. And also out of the dollar bin, I found an issue of the Hardy Boys. And if you watched my previous video, I mentioned that I like Hardy Boys quite a bit. The stories are not that great. I read the stories in here, and the way they solve the mysteries are, the writers didn't do a good job of creating like really difficult mysteries to solve. And, their leaps of logic left something to be that they just kind of like figured it out, even though there weren't like really clues that us as a reader could like follow along and figure out, oh, that's who it is. But it's kind of like a Scooby-Doo mystery where like, it's Old Man Jenkins, right? It's like someone they know, but they put it together, but they don't really leave you enough breadcrumbs that you could figure it out. It's just kind of like all of a sudden they're like, it's that guy, and that's it. But I like the Hardy Boys, so I picked that up. A couple of modern comics I picked up. I might have shown this before, but I picked up another copy of Nightwing number 98 because this is the first appearance of Nightmite, who's like Batmite or Mixelplick, those or Impossible Man, those kind of guys. And so when I went to, I've picked up like one copy at like three different stores. Like I want to get a really good copy. And then I picked this up at the same store as that one, which was Nirvana Comics in Knoxville. And this is Captain America symbol of truth number 9. And I just liked the cover. I don't know if, yeah, that's Scotty Young. I don't even know if I have a Scotty Young cover because I don't really like the Scotty Young art with the little kind of like toy looking baby heroes, but I like this one. And this one is an homage to the Captain America. Is it like number 112, 110, 112, something like that, where he's busting out of the newspaper? And so I actually liked this one, so I snagged that. And then this one's pretty cool. This is Friday Foster. I showed this on one of Alan's challenges recently, but I picked this one up recently. I got it from an eBay seller in Canada. You got to make offer. I got a really good deal on this. So um, she was, Friday Foster was the first syndicated newspaper Black female lead. And she's like a photographer, reporter. She goes around and she kind of gets her nose in where it doesn't belong and gets involved in, exposing these criminal doings. And so it was a newspaper strip, and then they turned it into this comic book, and then they made a movie. I think it was in the 70s, and it was during the time of the black exploitation movies or the women in prison movies, and there was a actress named Pam Grier who was famous in those. She was Foxy Brown, and she played the character. And I see it's on YouTube, so I'm going to download that and watch that. Another comic I picked up, I snagged this off of Instagram from a buddy I buy comics from, and this is Hulk 141. And if you don't know, this is the first appearance of Doc Samson. And this, to me, this is a great first appearance because he's on the cover. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic piece of art. The colors are great, and the blue sky, and his red shirt and the green hair and Hulk and everything. So this is a great first appearance, and I'm really happy to have that one. This is an upgrade for me. I had a copy, or I have another copy that's pretty beat up, and this one I was able to find for a really good price. This next comic, I got to give a shout out to Night Tiger because he told me about this one, and this one's from Argentina, and it's small in stature because this is a normal comic bag. El Pato Donald Duck, Feliz Cumpleaños Donald, happy birthday. And I had posed a question to Alan, the comic collector geek, about who are all the ducks in the duck family, because he has a big collection of Walt Disney, and he showed a couple of comic books that have different, first appearance of Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge and everything. Well, I had come across a comic that had this duck on it, Grandma Duck, and I had never heard of her before. I had heard of Donald, Daisy, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and Uncle Scrooge. And then there's others, right? And I wasn't really familiar with them. So I posed that question to Alan, and he went through it. And I guess Mike saw that. And then that I had asked that question, and he saw this comic. He's like, "Hey, Joe, there's this comic It's only like $5 or $10, and it's got all the ducks on it. So I went and looked at it, and I snagged it, and it came all the way from Argentina. So it's in Spanish, and I can't read it, but I think that's a really cool cover. And not all the ducks are there. Some of the ducks are missing. There's a few more than you see here, but that's pretty cool. What else do I have? I got some, I'm going to end with some big ones here. Um, this one is a promo comic. It's Sue the Magic Mannequin. And this is a part for Sue. And this was a promo comic. Uh, there's another one, which I have with Sue the Magic Mannequin. I think it's called Woodland Adventures, something like that. I'll drop a picture in here. But there was a clothing line in the 50s called Sassony, Sacony, Sassony, and for girls. And these were little comics to promote it. And it had inside, it had like a story, a comic story, but then there might be like little dress cutouts or puzzles to do. This one had some dolls in it that you could cut out. And unfortunately, they're cut out. But I've never seen this one before. So I bought this. The seller didn't mention that there was cutouts. And when I contacted him, I said, hey, I showed him some pictures. I said, look, 2 pages are missing, and I'd like to return it. And he wound up just giving me a refund, said I could keep it. So I have it. And, hopefully that I can find a copy to improve in my collection someday, because it bugs me that those pages are cut out. But I truly have never seen this one. The one time I've ever seen it was when I bought this one. The other one, that Woodland Adventures, I see quite frequently. I think there's even some on eBay right now. So here's the last two comics, two big ones. First of all is a comic that has been on my hunting list for the past 3 years. And I saw Tyler from the Comic Couple show a picture of this recently on Instagram, and I'd never seen it for sale anywhere on eBay or at comic stores. I've been looking. Finally, a copy came up, and it had a bad spine roll, and it had a make an offer. So I made the guy an offer for $100 less than he had it for, and he accepted it. I was thrilled. This is Star Spangled Comics number 122. And I have really wanted to get a copy of this comic. And so I got it, and then I pressed out the spine roll, and it looks great. And I think either the centerfold's detached or the cover's detached, one or the other. But I really didn't mind because, like I said, this is hard to find. When I bought this, remarkably, there were two on eBay that came up, this and another one. The other one was in much worse condition, and it was more expensive, and it wasn't make an offer. Um, so this one, I knew that if I could press the spine out, it would look better than the other one, and it looks great. And so why do I want this? Do you know? This is the first appearance of this guy, Dr. 13. And so the first story in here is basically about him and his origin, his family history. And what he does is he's a really cool character. And he's kind of like, he's not a escape artist like Harry Houdini, but if you remember, Harry Houdini used to he wanted to, get contact with his mother. And so he would try to prove these different seances were charlatans. He was trying to find someone who could really get in touch with the dead. Well, that's what this guy does. He tries to you know, prove these things are, these ghost sightings and seances aren't true and everything. So really happy to have this one. This one has been eluding me for several years, and I was so thrilled when I got that. And this next comic, I haven't been looking for it as long, but it's a really, really cool comic that's quite scarce. And when I found out about it sometime last year, I didn't think I would get it this soon. I thought I would be looking for this one for quite a while. And I got really lucky. A copy came up, and the price was really remarkably fair for it. So this is a Fawcett comic called Xmas Comics, and this is issue number 4. And so this comic is really thick. You see how thick that is? It's 196 pages. And again, I think what they did was they took remaindered copies, stitched them together, and put a new cover on it. And if I remember correctly, there was either 7 or 8 issues of Xmas Comics. And Alan has one different issue than this, but that issue he wanted because it was in Sodi, right? The Seduction of the Innocent. But this is the one I wanted because this has here where it says Xmas, here where it says comics, and Santa's suit. Suit is like red velvet. And they basically cut it out and glued it onto the cover. And so that's really unique. And this is considered the first like special cover. You know how in the 90s they had all like the holograms and the die cut and the foil and all that kind of stuff. This one is considered the first of those styles. And it's very scarce and it's really cool. And the thickness of it and everything. So I'm really excited. This is a comic. I'm really excited. These last 2, really, this one and this one are 2 comics I'm really thrilled to have in the PC. So comic addicts, that's my haul. Some great stuff in there. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.